This time around, we're going to take a look at Tile Builder. We're going to look at the process for bringing in our own custom content, our art files and audio files, and then we're going to look at how we can set those up, export those out, and then load those into Build-A-Game so that we can use them inside of our own levels. Here we have our basic 5-step approach where we add our files, we set the tile type, we adjust the properties of those tiles, we set up colliders, and then we submit those files for Build-A-Game. At the bottom we have our options to make a new tile set, open up a tile set, or save the tile set that we're working on. We additionally have an area for logging in and logging out, and then for additional help. So let's go ahead and get started by creating a new tile set. We'll start down here on the New button, and then we can navigate to where we want to go to. I'm going to just dump this one right here to an export for a Tile Builder example tile set. I'm going to select on the folder. This is saying this is the folder that I want to put all of the content into. So I'm selecting that folder as that place. I'm going to create the project. So that gets our project set up. Now we can go in here and start adding files to that project. So I'm going to go in and hit add, and here we're going to navigate to our spot. We have our assets, we're going to go into there, and then we've got things laid out. So we'll go ahead and pull up our window browser here so we can see it. We have our assets right here, and then inside of here just the assets that we want to load up into there. We've got a basic block for a floor, we've got a camera object, some effects, a player, and the player animations, some additional props that we can use to set up our scene, some background images that we can use, and then a thumbnail for the product. So let's go ahead and start loading these in, and then we'll set up the properties. So let's grab up the first one here. Now we can select on these. Right now we have our preview as a question. Eventually it's going to show up the images that you have, and then you can get additional information for them. The main options down here is we have a hard scaling and an animation. So if you were bringing in, for instance, player, we would want to bring all of these in as one image or one image file, and we're going to do that with an animation, and that's going to load everything for us. The hard scaling is so that we have hard edges in case you have more of a 8-bit pixel style. This is the way we want to bring it in, and that way it applies that effect to all the images as you bring them in. Alright, so we'll start with the thumbnail. I'm going to go ahead and do the hard scaling. I'm going to go to select folder. Okay, so that loads us in. We've got our first image. You'll notice the little green dot. The green dot is how we select if this is going to be used as the icon for the product set, for the tile set. Alright, so let's go ahead and just start loading in content. We'll do the hard scaling again. Now we've got our next image, and let's go for our camera. And our effect. This time around we're doing something that has an animation. So I'm going to leave the animation checked. It's processing the 35 files. Now when it brings it in as one, but the animations that are in that folder are loaded into this one spot. And we'll go down to our player. And the same thing here with the animation check, so it brings it all into one tile. There we go. And let's go on to our next one. We've got our prop. Now on here, let's say we're going to load these two files, and this is just a different way of doing it. If I do it as an animation, it's going to load both of them into one, but we want these separate. So let's uncheck the animation, and this way it brings both of those files in separately. So you could load a folder full of images, and then it'll just load them up individually. Let's do a palm tree. This one's set up with an animation. And then you'll also notice this, we'll look at this in a minute, but some of them have a thumbnail just to showcase a different way of working with setting up a tile. So there's one of the palms. Let's grab up the other one. And let's grab up the trunk. And that gives us those parts. Let's see about the sky. And again, there's 3 separate files, and we don't want them all in one, so I'm going to uncheck the animation. That way they bring them in separate. So that way we get 1, 2, and 3. And that gets us all the way through the objects that we've got. We can hit cancel and go back. We have all the objects that we want to work with. Now, right now we have this built into a context menu so that we can move these around through a context menu. Eventually this will be just a drag and drop, and you can more easily navigate and get stuff around. But for right now, that'll suffice. We have that green checkbox like I told you before, and you'll notice that as you select it, you can change this out to any image that you want. You're not locked down once you publish. You can change that out at any point you want and adjust those icon images for the tile set. Okay, so let's go ahead and order these around. And how you set it up here is actually how it's going to be displayed in your tile set and for use inside of Build a Game. So whatever tile it is you want first, make sure that that's the first tile that people have access to. So I'm going to set up the block first, and then the player, and then the camera. And we'll move the effect down. We don't necessarily need it right off the bat. And then we've got our skies, we've got our trees, and then some props, and that should work just fine for what we need. Okay, so let's start setting up these pieces.